All right, I want to do this with you. I love your bravery. I love your courage.
Thank you.
And I want you to tell the story. I
Yeah.
want to go back because I love your career. People don't know what an incredible player you were. You just got mentioned how you're in Nebraska, sophomore to junior year.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted you. And tell us the story leading up to the injury.
Yeah, I grew up in Voorhees, went to Eastern High School, and my goal, I wanted to play professional football. Now, everyone said, what do you want to do when you grow up? I want to be a professional football player. Was fortunate enough to, my high school team was great. We had 5 guys that got Division I scholarships my senior year. Our quarterback, our wide receiver went to Duke. We had a lineman with North Carolina, went to Penn State, and we had another guy went to Rutgers. But got the scholarship, went off to Penn State, and I was fortunate. Coach Paterno played me as a freshman. We played USC the first game, got our butts kicked by Carson Palmer. And
yes,
it was just awesome being out there as a freshman. I played corner. And then came the 5th game of my freshman year, playing against Ohio State out there in the horseshoe, went in to make a tackle, and unfortunately broke my neck and was paralyzed from the neck down. And, the thought of being paralyzed when you're playing football, that never goes through your mind. But unfortunately, it happened, and the doctors, when they got me, they said I'd never walk again.
Go back to the moment. I remember you telling me, and when it happens, and you don't realize it at first.
Yeah, people ask me, look, were you in pain? I went in to make the tackle, and I just remember waking up on the ground, and I tried to move my arm to kind of gather my arms to get up off the ground. And when I couldn't move my arm, I said, oh, man, I broke my arm. And then I tried to gather my legs, and it felt like nothing was there. So I thought, oh, man, this is what a stinger feels like. I just thought I had a stinger because I heard so many times about guys losing sensation, and within 10 minutes, you're back up walking. So I wasn't, again, although I couldn't move anything, I just thought, man, I got this stinger. This sucks. I'll be back up in about 10 minutes. Time goes by, and I'm still laying there, and that's when I started to panic. And the thing that really got me is when Coach Paterno came out, and I saw him look down, and I just looked in his eyes, and I saw that he was scared. And this is a guy that's been coaching 30 years. Yeah. And that's when I started to panic. And ironically, I started playing football when I was 7, and my parents have been at every one of my games and never missed a game. And this game was on national TV, so I said, we're going to watch it at home. And my mom she hated football from day one, from when I started playing when I was 7. So I said, when they wheel me off the field, I'm just going to give a thumbs up to let my mom know that I'm okay. And I couldn't when I couldn't give a thumbs up, I was like, oh man, this is bad. So they called, my dad flew out that evening, and when he got to the hospital, they told him that I would never walk again because I, severely bruised my spinal cord. My parents never told me that. They said, if he's not going to walk again, he'll figure that out when in due time. We're not going to tell him. We're going to keep his hope. And I had my surgery, and the story's crazy because I got injured at Ohio State. Right across the street from the stadium, they have a nationally recognized spinal cord center right there. If I would have got hurt at Penn State, they would have to airlift me to Hershey. That would have been precious time. It would have been bad. So it's so crazy how that worked out, where I got hurt at Ohio State. I had a great surgeon out there, gave me the best chance for recovery. They flew me back here to Thomas Jefferson. I was there for intensive care for about 3 weeks. Then I went to a place called McGee Rehab right here in Philly.
Yes.
And when I got there, I remember walking in, or not walking in, but wheeling me in, and I see all these people with ventilators and unable to breathe on their own. I'm like, man, I can't believe I'm around all these disabled people. And I was like, man, that's when it hit me. Like, man, that's me. That's my life now. And I got there and I just cried. The first night there, I was just like, I can't believe this happened. And I remember my dad telling me, like, hey, cry, get it out. And from this point forward, we're just going to work towards getting you better. And I tell people, my therapists were angels. They every day, They worked with me. We did 6 hours of therapy every day. And about 2 months in, I couldn't move anything. And my parents had went home for the night. I'm laying there in the hospital bed, and my physical therapist looks down at the end of my bed and she says, Adam, your toe is moving. And I said, it is? Because I've become so accustomed to trying to move something and nothing moving. So she said, try to do it again. And I was able to move it. And my parents came back. It was like midnight. My parents came back to the hospital. We had like a party in the hospital room because I was finally moving. And that's where the progress really started. And I got put into a clinical trial where they put you in a parachute harness over a treadmill, and they simulate the walking motion. I couldn't walk, but I had therapists really just moving my legs for me.
Sure.
And now that's the standard of care.
Yeah.
And it really helped me kind of the mind and the body remember what it was like to walk again.
Right.
And
you almost have to connect the two again, right? Like
exactly.
That's your spinal cord, which is almost connects it right to your brain and understanding.
And you're spot on. And that's where I was so fortunate that I didn't have a complete injury where I cut my spinal cord. It was just severely bruised. So there was some signal still getting down there. And after about 8 months, I was able to get out of there and, I was walking with crutches at the time, hand crutches. And even to this day, I mean, my right side still never fully came back. But I said, if that's the case, I could work with it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I look at today, dad, right? Obviously successful attorney, the whole thing. And I think back, and I remember you telling me the story about the kids that you shared the room with. There was the kid that was from North Philly that got shot.
That's the thing. And ironically, when I was there, I was 18, and it was like 5 or 6 other guys, all within 18 to 22. And unfortunately, as the kid you knew, he was got shot. Another kid was on a dirt bike running from the police and fell off. And you just hear some amazing stories, and you realize how fortunate you are. I grew up in Voorhees. I didn't have really any adversity in my life. That was my first adversity. But you hear about the stories and the trauma that these people dealt with, and you form a bond, a brotherhood with these individuals, because it could be a very isolating feeling when you're in the hospital for 8 months and you feel like you're the only person who's going through this injury. So I leaned on them, and they helped me get through it. And we all have gone our separate ways, and unfortunately, some of them have passed away or have gone back to that life. But every day for me now is a blessing. Just being able to get up, talk to you guys, walk on my own is something that I don't take for granted anymore.
We talk about this, and we started the conversation talking about the landscape of college football and how it's changed, right? NIL and portal and all. And I go back to you, and I think this is why these players deserve compensation. Yeah. Like, that's sport, and we love the sport. Listen, we love it. That entertainment, it's the greatest thing in the world. But it comes with great risk. And that's what I mean. I mean, I look at these kids. I mean, they deserve this compensation, let alone what it generates from a revenue standpoint because of television. Mm-hmm. The risk that these players take every day is real.
It's 100% a real risk. And that's why, people see me, I wear Penn State stuff almost every day, because the reason I do it is, of course, I love the university, but when I had this injury, there was they didn't have to keep my scholarship. They didn't have to, make sure that I graduated, but Coach Paterno, that entire school stuck by me. And the big thing is, my insurance covers all the stuff that's associated with my injury. But there's times where you need equipment or things that insurance doesn't cover. 25 years later, I can call up Penn State and say, hey, my insurance isn't covering whatever it is. We got it. There's no question. I'm like, do you need me to send you a receipt? No, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. And that's the thing. I'm like, a lot of those folks that were at Penn State when I was there, they're all gone now.
Yeah.
But the fact that they still are there for me, and they're like, hey, you got injured here. We're going to make sure that you're taken care of. That's priceless to me. And I so appreciate, Coach Franklin, our president, Ben DePuti, our athletic director, Pat Kraft. They treat me like family. And it's just, and not just me. Any person that's gone through there gets that same treatment. And I can't speak enough about what they've done for me over these last 25 years and what they still do for me till this day. It's an amazing place.
We all silly like the mayor.